It's almost like it was reminding you every day, you know, that they're not going to be driving those cars again.
Share your own moon memories using the hashtag #MoonMemories.
Flowers bring joy into our lives, whether we're giving them or receiving them. The act of arranging flowers is actually soothing in itself. And then we double that effect when we give those flowers to someone else. Life in Bloom will show you easy ways to incorporate flowers into your life every day. I'm Jay Schwanke, and this is Life in Bloom.
Saturdays at 6:30 p.m. You're watching WLAE, New Orleans Public Television.
Inside New Orleans Sports with Eric Asher is underwritten by...
At Villere's Florist, we deliver the magic of flowers 7 days a week to the North Shore and South Shore in the New Orleans area. Whether it's for birthday parties, baby celebrations, Villere's provides colorful floral displays for all. With a store full of fresh-cut flowers, exotic tropical flowers, orchids, roses, and even fruit baskets, our goal is to make your vision a reality. Villere's Florist, proudly serving Louisiana since 1969.
Dave Miette Insurance Agency. Auto, home, flood, business, 504-556-0809. Dave Miette, INSagency.com.
C&C Drugs is a family-owned pharmacy that's been serving Southeast Louisiana for over 50 years. Whether you need help taking care of an elderly family member, a growing child, or even a pet, C&C provides patient-centered care for your entire family. C&C Drugs, large enough to serve you, small enough to know you. Locations in Mandeville and Araby.
Good afternoon and welcome to another edition of Inside New Orleans Sports. I'm your host, Eric Asher. You know what we do. We'll cover all the home teams today. Saints, LSU, Tulane, Pelicans, all on the docket. And to break it down for us, one of the best we have. He's everywhere. I mean, he is everywhere. He's on the Avenue. He's at LSU. He's at Tulane. He's at Pelicans. He's covering the Saints. He's Garland Gillen of Fox 8 Sports. Garland, welcome back to the show.
You're right. This is the time of year where high school football, college football, pro football, the New Orleans Pelicans, it is all happening in October. This is probably the busiest part of the year for us at Fox 8. Nonstop. My phone's blowing up every day. I mean, we got Hurricane Milton, so the Bucs are in New Orleans, and the Saints are dealing with a quarterback problem with injuries. But yeah, Fox 8, we're cooking. I mean, I know you got to be under a rock to not know the Pelicans are going to be on Fox 8 and Gulf Coast Sports and Entertainment Network this fall and spring. Get the antenna.
Yes.
A lot of people are asking me about YouTube TV. They don't have a contract right now. It's on Fubo. Right. You get the antenna. It might be on some other networks. We'll see soon. But I was at the game on Monday. I was impressed. The crowd was pretty good.
Right.
For a 12:30 game.
12:30 game on a Monday, yeah.
I was impressed. People are getting behind the Pelicans. I mean, it's a playoff team. But you mentioned it. I got the food blog, Football, Food. Garland the Avenue, where I give my thoughts. I jog a lot every day, actually, so I get that going. And then our shows. Friday night, we're going to have Fox 8 Football Friday. I'm going to be at Covington, Mandeville. Undefeated game in week 6. So I'm really excited about that. Saturday, I'll be at LSU Ole Miss. Sunday, I'll be at the Saints game. So I'm ready to roll. It's all happening, and we're going to wrap it all up on Final Play on Sunday night at 10:30. But every day of the week, we have a show. I don't need to go through all of them.
Like 10:35, 10:35.
10:35. You know, you got B&G on Monday with Deuce McAllister. Tuesday, overtime, we break everything down. Wednesday, we get you ready for the next game. On Game Plan Thursday is Final Bet, my gambling show that Juan and I host. And then, you know, like I just said, Fox 8 Football Friday and Tailgate on Sunday at 10 a.m. Get you ready for the Bucs game. We are extremely busy in the fall.
Just do what I do. Set the DVR.
Yeah. It's a lot.
And I never miss the show. It's always there. It's always there. And set it for this show as well, if you don't mind.
Yes, indeed.
Garland, let's start off with the Saints. Again, 2-3 now after starting off 2-0, 3 losses in a row, 26-13 to go down to Kansas City. They could have put 50 on them. It really just felt like that. But again, the big story right now is Carr's out with an oblique injury, expected to miss a few games. And who takes over for him? Now, you were in training camp. What a great time to have you on this program. You saw these guys up close and personal, Rattler and Haener. Thoughts?
I thought it was 50-50. I thought that they were really close on who was going to be the starting quarterback if something happened to Derek Carr. I think I went on record during training camp and I said there's more upside for the long term with Spencer Rattler. Short term, it's Jake Haener.
Okay.
So I'm intrigued to see what they're going to do this week. Rattler is a little more elusive when it comes to running out of the pocket. Jake Haener probably going to make less mistakes. They got to figure out what their goal is this year. Are they trying to save the season? Do they think they still got a playoff shot? Are they looking to the future? If they're looking to the future, then Rattler's your guy.
Yeah.
If you're looking to just save the season, Haener might be that guy. Haener's only thrown 8 passes in the NFL. Right. I will say he's got a little escapability. The defensive end for Kansas City was breathing down his neck, and Haener kind of got a little elusive there, got outside. Derek Carr, he made some terrible mistakes in that game, but he had missed the game in his time with the Saints. So this is going to be this is going to be the storyline all week: is who's going to be the starting quarterback. I know the one thing: you won't have Taysom Hill to rely on. There is a stack of injuries this tall on that team.
Couple things on that. First of all, again, with a makeshift offensive line, which seems to be changing every single play, much less week, right? Again, with the injuries they're seeing, you probably want somebody that's got some mobility. Carr with the oblique injury, again, he is not mobile to begin with. He's not accurate when he's on the move. So again, maybe you want to let this guy heal before you put him back out there, especially with, again, the offensive line in flux. Then it takes you to Rattler and Haener. Both guys have mobility. Rattler's got incredible arm talent, okay? And you mentioned it. Neither one of them have experience. If you want to talk about the experience that Haener has over Rattler, it's really not much when you really want to break it down. So I guess it comes down to, first of all, who you trust more, the coaching staff, and then the other part of it is, who do you think, again, because of the makeshift offensive line, can make plays happen under duress, off schedule?
Yeah, and right now, if you ask me going into the practices this week, I would say Haener has the edge.
Okay.
Rattler's been the emergency quarterback.
Right.
Haener's been the backup quarterback. So I think Haener has that edge right now going into this week. I know they're going to probably hold this one in the back end. Eric, you talk about the offensive line. Going into the season, I had 2 major issues with this team. Lack of depth on the offensive line, and who's going to generate a pass rush. 5 games in the season, they are both rearing their ugly head totally. Injuries happen in this league. You knew it was going to happen.
Yes.
I don't, trust me, I didn't expect them to be down to their 4th-string center in Connor McGovern, just signed last week. But we knew this was an issue, okay? This is the reason why I picked the Saints to go 7-10 before this season. After 2 weeks, my goodness, everybody texted me, calling me up, telling me I made a major mistake. I just said, hold on. In the NFL, it can change quickly. Now, did I see them going 2-3 after 5 weeks, starting 2-0? No. But right now, at this moment, if you took me from the beginning of the season to right now, you said, hey, the Saints are 2-3, I'd have believed you. Yeah. But after 2-0, maybe I would have thought a little differently. So the problems I saw are the same problems they're dealing with now. Yes. And the receiver position also. Mason Tipton is now one of the guys they're throwing deep balls to. There's a problem at wide receiver, offensive line, with Taysom Hill out. Alvin Kamara has no blocking. They're the same issues they had in California they got right now.
Right, and of course, we can throw in a big back as well with Taysom out. Miller's still not on the field for them, again, and you're putting all this pressure on Kamara to really carry the load here. Heck, I was saying Sunday after Saunders took that interception out of the back there.
I know where you're going with
Put
this.
the big boy back there. I mean, give me somebody that again, there's a big back that can run. But again, to your point, this stems all back to, again, to the salary cap and the inability to have the money to be able to, again, to be able to build up your backups. You're ending up with undrafted free agents. You're holding on to rookies too long. Maybe, again, guys that maybe, again, you probably would have moved on from that you drafted. Journeymen that are coming in on one-year deals to prove it in a lot of cases because, you know, again, if you got an offensive lineman in the NFL and he's worth his salt, he's getting a multi-year deal. If you got a pass rusher that, again, is a legitimate pass rusher in this league, they're getting multi-year deals. Again, for the Saints, they had to go with one-year deals, and now we're seeing this. It's a league. It's a week-to-week league, but it's a league of attrition, and you've got to have solid backups, and they don't now, and a lot of that stems from the salary cap problems.
Yeah, and I got hoodwinked so far on Chase Young. I saw him in training camp. I thought he was going to get double-digit sacks this year. He finally registered a full sack this past week against Kansas City. He's got 1.5. Granderson's on the other side. He has 3 sacks. I've been very disappointed with that defensive line. The linebacker situation, I mean, we were really fired up during training camp between Willie Gay, Demario Davis, and P. Warner, and you had 2 of those 3 out.
You had Orji and Jackson playing most of the time.
Orji and Jackson, and then if you want to just go behind them, Paulson Adebo has been an unmitigated disaster at cornerback. I don't think he's going to get a second contract. 7 PIs this year, pass interference calls. He should have had 2 in that game. He got away with 1. He absolutely mugged the guy at the end of the game and got called for the second time around. There is a lot of holes on this team, Eric. I'm intrigued to see when they go from we're on playoff mode to we want to get, I think right now they're the 10th pick in the NFL draft where their standings are. I'm intrigued to see where they're going to go and say, do we just go with the future with Rattler and just kind of fight this year and then get a great draft pick going into the next year? It's going to really be intriguing to watch these next few weeks because you got the Bucs on Sunday. You do not want to get embarrassed next Thursday night when Sean Payton comes back to New Orleans. They're on a 3-game win streak right now. The Broncos are. There's a lot that's going to be going down this next week.
Right. And by the way, again, A.T. Perry picked up by the Denver Broncos.
Of course he was.
You know why? Yeah. Okay. They might want to put him on the active roster, but again, you know he's also picking his brain on everything that's going on back in New Orleans as well. Your thoughts on Kubiak? Look, this is tough. You lose your offensive line. It's in flux. Again, the everything is based off, again, the running the football in this particular system. You mentioned the wide receiver position now. You're down to like 4. And then, of course, again, Kamara's your only running back. Talk about what he's done in terms to adjust to what's been going on with this team with, again, just the rash of injuries that we've seen on the offensive side of the ball.
We saw in training camp he was dependent on Taysom Hill, and now it's coming to roost. He was way too dependent on Taysom Hill. When Taysom Hill's in that game, that offense absolutely cooks. When he's out of that game, look at the Eagles game. When he got injured, everything went downhill. I think he got too dependent on Taysom Hill, too focused on the run game, where I don't think he has the guys to keep producing every week. Once that health goes down, I mean, right now, I mean that offensive line is definitely in flux, moving guys in and out. The deep ball is his only relief, and he was hitting those. Derek Carr was hitting those on the front end. You keep running, then you hit him with the deep ball. But if you're just a little off in this league, it's either an interception, incomplete pass. Looked like they were not on the same page on one of those passes, Shaheed and Carr. There's a lot of issues with the deep ball now, with pass protection, run block, and he just doesn't have the tools now. Without Taysom Hill, I think this offense is a problem right now. And I know he's played call before, but this is a whole different situation with the Saints.
Go back to the quarterbacks for a moment. Carr's out maybe 3. First of all, anybody that gets injured during this stretch, right? Three games in 10 days, you're not coming back, right?
Right.
I mean, you're not coming back. There's just no time to really bring you back. Do you think that they will be very cautious with him, or is that going to be predicated upon whether Haener or Rattler is having success?
Yes, I think that is definitely going to be something to monitor if Haener or Rattler does have success.
Because he didn't come out of the game last year. Remember last year, again, he was hurt. Jameis Winston didn't get on the field.
Yeah.
Okay? He came out and tried to play through the injury. So that's what I'm wondering, what will happen.
He'll fight it. Carr, I know they've attributed that Carr is going to fight even missing this game.
Right.
I think it makes sense. But if Haener or Rattler, whoever's in there, if they start having success, you can kind of slowly get Derek Carr ramped back up again. But I think it's not smart to have them playing with these games back to back. This is a bad situation for the Saints in the schedule, but everybody plays on Thursday nights. And everybody, this is going to be the excuse going forward, is that, the Saints just couldn't overcome all the injuries. But you put yourself in the situation with not a lot of depth on the offensive line, relying on Kendre Miller, who's been injury prone his whole career going back to college, and now Jamal Williams had a terrible season last year, got 1 touchdown. He's just not the answer either.
He's a decent blocker, but he's not the physical back that everyone thought he was going to be.
The Saints built these problems on their own between the depth at running back, the depth on the offensive line, and not a lot of standouts at receiver.
Right, and then look what Andy Reid did to him last week. He, again, is down with his speedy receivers. He beats the Saints with 4 tight ends and Kareem Hunt. Kareem Hunt.
And Juju Smith-Schuster, who a lot of
people... guy that was on the scrap heap.
I thought he was almost out of the league, and now he comes back. So I don't want to hear all these excuses about dealing with injuries, because they were missing Isaiah Pacheco, Rashee Rice. They had their own problems to deal with, and they made it work.
Right. What do you think is next for this team? Again, do you think? Again, look. If you tell me if they beat Tampa this week, and that's going to be tough. But again, obviously they're coming in here like we've seen with other teams when there's a disaster going on back home. They're going to be focused on this game. Obviously, they want to keep pace with Atlanta as well. If the Saints come out 3-3, then you're saying, okay, for me, looking at the season, that's probably about where I thought they might be, about 500. But again, I think it's going to be a tough process, again, with the lack of depth, with the injuries you have, and now, again, not having your starting quarterback.
Yeah, and the spread has moved all over the place. It was 2.5 for the Saints on Sunday after the injury. Moving forward through the week, it's now 3.5. The Bucs are favored by. That's a 6-point swing. I think the best, looking forward, I think the Saints split these next 2 games between the Bucs and the Broncos. I think they get one of them, they lose one of them. It's hard to predict right now what's going to happen. I mean, the Bucs are here all week because of Hurricane Milton. They're working out at Tulane, staying downtown. They brought their families in to avoid Hurricane Milton. So I don't know where their psyche is going to be this week. They're dealing with some issues. I know
you
that
think they could maybe not lose. You think they could lose some focus here with having the families here, worried about what's going on back home?
That's a lot on your shoulder. Now I know the Saints during Hurricane Ida. I mean, they went to Jacksonville and smoked the Aaron Rodgers and the Packers. It can have a negative effect or a positive effect on the team. I remember one time, I can't remember what hurricane was, the Saints were in Dallas for, 3 weeks, Dallas-Fort Worth area. So it could go either way, Eric. It's hard to know what's going through the head of some of these professionals, especially with family members in New Orleans, that kind of stuff. I saw pictures of, the players on the Bucs bringing their family with them. I would think the safe prediction would be they're going to go one-on-one. I know that Sean Payton and Pete Carmichael and those guys have some plays that they've saved just for that game next Thursday.
I believe it. And again, look, this has been circled on the calendar since.
Yeah. I mean, Drew Brees is going in the Ring of Honor or getting retired with the Saints there. So there's a lot of things off the field also that are going to be happening next Thursday.
It'll be a fun time in the Dome. Okay. When you look at this team right now, and look, again, 2 months into the season, again, it's a long season. It's not over. What's your gut on where they are right now? 500 team, 7-10 still.
I had 7-10. Juan Kincaid, one of my coworkers, he had 7-10. Right. I feel very safe on that prediction. I just don't think where the magic wand's going to happen in the future with this offensive line. This is going to be a problem that is going to persist for a while. Ruiz, Lemieux,
McCoy.
This is not going to go away anytime soon. I think this is probably a 7-10 team. Sticking with that prediction. I don't think right now this is a playoff team. I just don't see it. There's way too many issues with this roster. Hey. Pelicans start in less than 2 weeks.
Yep. All right. The Devontae Adams, is that dead now, do you think?
I just don't think that. I don't think that the Raiders are going to play ball with the Saints. The Raiders would have to eat a lot of that salary cap.
Yep.
Well, let's also remember, Mark Davis, the owner of the Raiders, is not liquid. Okay, he doesn't have another business. Okay, a lot of these people have other businesses. The Raiders are his only thing. He's not liquid. I think a team like the Jets can eat more of that salary cap. I think the Jets are, with them firing Robert Salah, I think maybe they're going to try to make some moves. if that makes more sense to him going to the Jets. I just don't think the Saints are right around $3 million under the cap.
Right under the cap.
They're going to have the Raiders have to eat a lot of that cap, and I don't see them doing that. And especially now that Carr's out. Right. Why would Devontae Adams want to come to New Orleans?
And this is the other part. Again, remember, he's got $36 million guaranteed on his contract over the next couple of years. I'm sorry, not guaranteed. So a new deal would have to be worked out. The Saints are not going to give up a second-round pick and maybe a fifth-round pick for a guy who's going to come in and play maybe for 3/4 of the season for him.
And if you're trading for something, you're not trading for a wide receiver.
Right.
You're trading for an offensive lineman.
Exactly.
Yeah.
All right.
That's crazy town to even think about talking about. Obviously, we laid out that they have problems at wide receiver. They have way bigger issues on the offensive line. They're going to trade for anything.
Right.
It's O-line.
Right. And here's the other thing. Please, get a big back. Okay? Kamara will not last the season. There's no way in the world. He's going to get beat up. All right. We'll take a pause here, hear from our underwriters. When we come back, we're going to talk a little bit about this LSU, getting ready for Ole Miss. The Greenies, break up the Greenies. They're just dominant. And then we'll get into the Pelicans as well as they get ready to start their season. You're watching Inside New Orleans Sports. Garland, Gillen, the Fox 8 Sports, our guest. I'm your host, Eric Asher. Stay tuned.
Located at 3701 Iberville Street in Mid-City is Katie's Restaurant and Bar. Open 7 days a week, Katie's offers daily specials for lunch, dinner, and Sunday brunch. Serving New Orleans cuisine such as fried shrimp platters, grilled redfish, and a fully stocked bar. And don't forget about our expanded event seating and local entertainment. Featured on the Best of Food Network's diners, drive-ins, and dives, Katie's Restaurant and Bar.
Burkhart's Air Conditioning, Heating, and Refrigeration has been family-owned and operated since 1989. Burkhart has energy-efficient solutions and offers brands such as Mitsubishi ductless AC units and Amana, the only manufacturer with a lifetime unit replacement warranty. Burkhart's offers maintenance bundle packages that include servicing your AC, generator, and tankless water heater. For more information on the services Burkhart's provides, visit acpromise.com. Burkhart's Air Conditioning, Heating, and Refrigeration, providing comfort for life.
Welcome back to Inside New Orleans Sports. Garland Gillen is our guest. All right, let's talk LSU 4-1, coming off the open date. They got Ole Miss, Tiger Stadium. That's a nationally televised game. They're 10th in the coaches' polls. They've made it inside the top 10, 13th in the AP. Before we get into Ole Miss, you've been involved with LSU. You've been out at the press conference, been at the practices that have been open. You've been at every game, filming, and of course, reporting. Your thoughts on the season so far? Starting off with that loss to USC and how they've rebounded.
I had them before the season going 10-2. I thought their losses were going to be at A&M, which probably still looks like the case. A&M is really tough to go into Kyle Field right now, and I thought they'd split between Ole Miss and Bama. Okay. They'd win one and lose one. That was my prediction going into the season. I did not see them losing against USC in Las Vegas. I was there at the game. I thought they were going to win it. Didn't come to be. It looks more disappointing now. USC is starting to like the tail dive down. I still think they have college football playoff dreams. I was at the UCLA game. I was in the press box after it was over with. And I was like, they're going to get smashed by Ole Miss. Now, I will say this. Ole Miss now appears a little fool's gold right now. Yeah. 2 years ago, Ole Miss came in LSU. Ole Miss was ahead, and then LSU came back and beat them. I've talked to Ole Miss alumni, fans. They are scared every time they go into Tiger Stadium, especially this game is at nighttime and anything could happen. Right. I think Ole Miss is vulnerable. They showed that against Kentucky. Yes, this offense is dangerous, but it looks like Trey Harris, who's their stud wide receiver, who absolutely smoked LSU and Oxford last year. I was at that game. He was absolutely working him. He went to Como High in Lafayette. He's a local kid, so you know he wanted to show out in Baton Rouge. He's dealing with an injury that Lane Kiffin said they're planning to play without him. So I think it's, 3.5 points per right now. Ole Miss, 2.5 is moving around there, the favorites. I think LSU, after watching more games, getting more of a sample size, I think LSU has a shot to win this game and keep that keep going up to try to get into the CFP playoff. They have one thing you can say about week to week. They've gotten better every week. I mean, you've seen it, and they've done this again with having to maybe go with more younger players as well. Which again, you have the
there's an opportunity to have more mistakes when you have the younger players on the field. But to me, again, if the younger player is better than the guy that you've had on campus, you go with the younger player. But there will be some growing pains.
Yeah, Caden Durham has shined against South Carolina, against UCLA. Ahmad Bro out of Ruston, with Jacoby and Giller going out for the year on the defensive line. Ahmad Bro has stepped up. So they got other guys. Linebacker situation, Harold Perkins is out for the season. He was having a rough season, though. I will say this. Yeah. It is a loss. But Harold has had major issues tackling this year against UCLA, against South Carolina. So they're going to have to figure out with the Weeks brothers, Greg Penn III coming in. So they got other guys.
I like the combo, though, of Weeks and Penn. They have looked really good together.
Yeah, Weeks we knew was going to be a guy that was going to contribute a lot this season. Greg Penn III, also we knew that he was going to be in there. Disappointed with Harold Perkins. Personally, I don't think Harold Perkins is going to be back. I think he can go to the NFL and get drafted at the back end of the first round.
Right.
I don't know where he fits if he came back to LSU. They haven't figured it out. In the NFL, there's going to be some defensive coordinator out there that thinks he can fix Harold Perkins and find a position for him. So I think Harold Perkins is going to be gone after this season. The defense still has some issues. Luckily for them, they had 2 weeks to prepare for Jackson Dart in this offense because Lane Kiffin is an offensive genius. Garrett Nussmeier, I've been really impressed with this year.
Me too.
He's another guy who I think will be gone after this year. I think he's a first-round pick.
Me too.
I think Shedeur Sanders might be the first quarterback to go. But after that, who are you telling me is like that guy after Shedeur Sanders? Jalen Milrose in that mix. Quinn Ewers is always injured. Jackson Dart has been up and down. Carson Beck has been up and down. Garrett Nussmeier is right in that mix. I think Nussmeier is a first-round pick after this season, so I've been impressed with him. Offensive line has been a little shaky this year. I've been disappointed with Will Campbell. He's had a lot of false starts this year. Receivers, we're going to see C.J. Daniels has been dealing with an injury. They said he's going to be back this week. So I think the offense hasn't been a problem this year. They still have to figure out some things on defense.
Do you find the offensive line playing a little bit better over the last couple of weeks? Maybe things coming together? I mean, look, there was a lot of expectations on this offensive line, with 2 All-Americans on there. Most people thought it was the best offensive line in college football. They didn't show that early. But over the last couple of weeks, they look like things are coming together. There's some cohesion there.
Yeah, DJ Chester is the only piece that wasn't on last year's crew. Miles Frazier, Garrett Dellinger, 4 of the 5 are returning. DJ Chester's a beast at center. Yeah, it'll take a little time. It makes all the difference, Eric, you'd be amazed, between a road game and a home game. Just in Oxford, they're not crazy, but the fans aren't, weren't on top of you.
Right.
But Tiger Stadium on a Saturday night, it's one of the greatest, equalizer, neutralize. It can neutralize the defense or offense of the opponent. I think that might be the difference on Saturday night. They're going to be absolutely going crazy in Tiger Stadium.
All right, let's talk Jackson Dart, because he's going to be one of the keys to, again, a Tiger victory, controlling Jackson Dart with this defense. How do you think they do it?
Well, I will say this. Kentucky gave him a blueprint. I think Mark Stoops and that defense did a great job against Kentucky, against Ole Miss with Kentucky. So at least it's out there. South Carolina didn't put up too much of a fight, absolutely smoked them. I think we're talking about the spy situation they did with Jalen Milroe. I mean, Jackson Dart can run the ball also. Yeah. I'm intrigued to see where they go if their star receiver, Ole Miss's star receiver, is out for this game, where they're going to go next. The next receiver had 18 catches on the season. They had their number one had 54 catches.
Right.
Like I just alluded to, that he might be out for this game. Get some pressure on him. I think Savion Jones, those guys up front, put some pressure on. Braden Swenson's had a great season. That's another guy that's kind of lessened the blow of not having Harold Perkins out there. If you can get some pressure on him, shake Jackson Dart early. These other teams have gotten out these early leads and kind of taken LSU back and had to fight back. They did it against South Carolina. USC, they got ahead. But if they can shake Jackson Dart, that could be the difference in the game.
You mentioned Caden Durham. Talk about the rest of the LSU running game, because again, you mentioned before the show, you and I were talking all on set. Dislocated toe for him.
Yeah, that's what the injury. I will say this: the SEC is ahead of the game here. They're making doing injury reports now, so we know what the problems are with these guys. And Brian Kelly's been more transparent with injuries. I will say this: Caleb Jackson had a lot more. I was optimistic on him. Caleb Jackson just has not been that guy this year. obviously it hurt that John Emery Jr. is out for the season.
Yes.
I think he would. I mean, he showed it against USC that he was going to be a guy. Josh Williams is almost as old as me. He's been on that team for a long time. You would hope that Caden Durham is back for this game because they figured something out in Caden Durham. He ran wild on USA, killed South Alabama. He was a difference maker in that first quarter.
And on the defensive side of the ball, talk about the secondary versus, again, Lane Kiffin and Dart.
Yeah, P.J. Woodland, the true freshman out of Hattiesburg, Mississippi. I think he's shown a little more this season. Zy Alexander's been dealing with some injuries, been in and out of the lineup. Ashton Stamps out of Rummel, been kind of up and down, but I think he's getting more. He's getting more in tune into the defense. Sage Ryan, I think, has just been a major disappointment at safety. I had high hopes for him. He's just never shown it. Major Burns, I'm intrigued to see what they're going to do at the star position this week. You know, that's kind of in between the linebacker and the safety. If there's one major concern I have with LSU on Saturday, I think it's obviously on the defense. I think the offense is going to be just fine. I think they're going to put up a lot of points.
Who do you like?
I think the Tigers. I was down on the Tigers. I finally have got to watch Ole Miss back-to-back weeks, full games, and now I kind of can see where there's a path that LSU wins this game. It could be a coin toss game. I mean, I want my prediction also to go right that I had them at 10-2. If LSU can beat Ole Miss this week, then I look like I'm in a better situation. I will say this: if LSU does lose to Ole Miss, I still think they can maybe beat Alabama at home. I think that A&M game is going to be really tough on the road. It's going to be tougher to get in that CFB losing Ole Miss, but I think they got a shot to win this week.
We'll talk SEC for a few minutes. First of all, with the Vandy win over Bama this week, with the Arkansas win over Tennessee, when you look at that LSU schedule now, is it a little bit tougher, or are we reading too much into this?
I think Arkansas was always going to be a tough road game, but I thought they would get through that. That one does get a little more scarier because Tennessee went in there. I think Tennessee's quarterback is a young guy. I think that he just got taken out of his element. I think looking at these games, I think Alabama, you now see the blueprint to beat Alabama, so maybe that can go in LSU's favor. Yes, Arkansas is tough on the road. A&M is really tough on the road. I was at the last time LSU went to A&M and didn't register a win. So that's a tough road game. In the SEC every week, it's just an absolute battle. I say they can still finish 10-2, but if you're being more realistic, if you're putting money on this, I would say 9-3 might be, if you're going to bet or put money on, I'd say 9-3 is a clearer path.
Is Texas the best team in the country?
I think so. I really like Texas. I like Texas better with Arch Manning quarterback than Quinn Ewers. But Quinn Ewers will be back this week for Red River. They're going to smoke Oklahoma this week. I know they've made the change of quarterback. Jackson Arnold is now out. Jackson Arnold will probably transfer after this season. I think Texas is going to win by 2 touchdowns against Oklahoma. Texas gets Georgia at home. I know they got to go to A&M. Texas does. I think Texas is the best team in the SEC. We saw it from the beginning. I'm an AP voter. I actually kept Texas #1 and kept Bama at 2 after Bama beat Georgia. Now I kind of look like a little of a genius there because I was getting a little heat. They're like, why do you not move Bama to 1? I just think Texas is better. And now you see Texas #1.
You covered Arch when he was in high school. Okay. And look, I've been intrigued. When he's playing, I've been trying to watch the Texas games. Your thoughts?
I think that what we saw at high school at Newman, I laugh so hard when people are like, oh my gosh, Arch is fast. Newsflash, I saw in high school, we know he's fast, okay? His dad, Cooper, and his mom, Ellen, were great athletes in high school. Ellen was at Sacred Heart as a volleyball player, Cooper at Newman. We knew that he had speed.
People forget Archie was pretty fast, too.
Yeah, he just took a lot of hits.
Athlete, right.
I can't believe people were like, oh my gosh, Arch is fast?
Right.
Yes, he's fast. Yes, I guess it took a few games to figure it out there for the national people to watch. I think Arch is better than Quinn. I've seen both of them.
Right.
And but they're going to go with Quinn. That's just the smart move by Sarkisian. But I will say this: Saturday, Red River in Dallas. If Quinn has a few 3-and-outs, then the fans will start chanting.
Chirping,
get a little chirp in there. That's something to watch. But I think in the pros, Arch is going to have a better career than Quinn. But in the short term, I think they just don't want to rock the boat.
Yeah. When you look at the SEC now, just based on where we are right now, how many teams realistically do you think they can get into the playoffs?
Well, Texas will be in there.
Right.
I think Mizzou has now been shown that they're a pretender. I think Mizzou's going to be out. I think LSU can get in. I think Bama can get in. I think Georgia with 2 losses can still get in their mix. Whoever wins Ole Miss, Tennessee could be in there. I would say probably legitimately, I would say 4 teams get in, but I think Texas is right there, and Bama. And then I'm intrigued to see who's in the SEC championship game, who's Texas playing in that game. But I would take Mizzou out, and then I think whoever loses the LSU Ole Miss game, you can take them out also.
Garland Gillen with us again from Fox 8 Sports. We shift gears now to the Tulane Green Wave. A couple things. First of all, an announcement. Tulane is now moving their the broadcast for their for football and men's basketball to 106.1 The Ticket. It'll also be simulcast on our sister station, Heaven 106.7. So again, if you're a Tulane fan and you're looking for the game starting October 19th against Rice, it'll be on 106.1 and 106.7. Again, with the new flagship station for Tulane football and men's basketball. With that said, before we get into Tulane, I want to talk about the Pac-12 and Tulane shunning the Pac-12 to stay in the American Athletic Conference. First of all, your thoughts.
So I went on X, formerly Twitter, when there was rumors out there that Pac-12 was interested in Tulane, and I destroyed it right from the start. I thought it was I thought it made no sense.
Me too.
Tulane playing at 9:30 on a Saturday night in Pullman, Washington against Washington State, just sound like crazy town. Making the volleyball team, all those teams go out there on the West Coast.
Right.
I thought the travel costs, I don't know if it would offset being in that new conference. And then once I heard about the exit fee being 10, 15 million, that makes absolutely no sense. I think there's a clear, now people will be like, Garland, but in the American is Charlotte and there's Rice and all these other teams. I go, yeah, that's a clear path to get to the college football playoff and stay in your area. I think football, with all of these schisms, they were talking about how it'd be great for the basketball team. Have you watched basketball, Tulane? They had to redo their whole roster this year. I think Ron Hunter is a really nice guy, but sooner or later they're going to have to move on from Ron Hunter.
There's a new AD, so ADs usually go get their guy.
They're not making the NCAA tournament this year. Okay, they had to flip their entire roster this year. I think it's going to be another year where they're middling right around 500. Last year they beat Memphis, who was a top 25 team, and then after that it just went downhill. But this is a move for basketball and football, and I think the move is to stay in the American. And I think this is a path where John Summerall and Tulane can have success and get in the CFP playoff. There's a shot still to get in this year. I think in the next few years, Tulane will be in the CFP playoff.
All right, let's talk about future possible conference realignment, expansion, etc. Most people, again, would like to see Tulane in the ACC. And again, it's always been a fit. The Big 12 possibly, again, maybe again there's some expansion there. What do you? Most people believe that eventually Florida State, Miami, maybe even Clemson will both the ACC. Where do you stand?
I'm in a better place with Tulane if they go in the ACC. Now, I understand that Cal and Stanford are in the ACC, but it's at least one trip. You can knock that out.
Sure.
When I was talking about being in the Pac-12, that's every week. You're going to be going back and forth.
It made no sense.
No, in the financial thing, Pac-12 is looking. They don't even have their finances in line when their new contract. TV-wise also.
American has a better, well, they don't have a TV contract. The American Conference contract with ESPN is better so far than maybe what they can even get at the Pac, where the Pacific Athletic Conference is going to be.
Yeah, no, I think, so it would make more sense if Tulane could get into the ACC. SMU is having some great success in the ACC so far. Jeff Duncan, who writes for the NOLA.com, is a contributor to Fox 8. He's a Louisville grad. He was so mad that SMU went in there and beat Louisville on Saturday. SMU is a really good program. They are going up. They're going to pass TCU now. TCU's in the Big 12. I think SMU's going up. So I think ACC is a good move. I mean, to have Duke playing the Tulane Green Wave would be really cool in basketball.
Yes.
Duke's probably going to smoke Tulane, but at least it'll be different to have Duke at Fogelman Arena or Devlin Fieldhouse, as they call it now. That's more realistic. I know that Tulane and their alumni are hungering for something bigger than the American, but it's got to be the right fit.
Well, again, Tulane's got to take care of themselves too. And again, I use that as a segue into facilities. And of course, the situation with the bubble, and of course, the bubble not being built now. Now, maybe they're going to put it on the Claiborne lot. You know, again, we know, Garland, again, college athletics has changed so quickly within the last 3 to 4 years with NIL, unlimited transfers. Again, you are constantly re-recruiting your athletes on campus, not to mention trying to be able to get players in the transfer portal, or again, kids coming out of high school to your programs. Tulane has to put an emphasis on facilities before, again, a lot of these other conferences may even look at Tulane.
Yeah, this is where the administration has dropped the ball. John Summerall was expecting to have this bubble ready. This was told to him that this would be something that was going to be in the making, was going to happen. I don't understand what the big holdup is with protecting the field turf right in front of the Riley Center. I thought that was going to be the move. Now they're talking about the Claiborne lot.
Right.
I mean, the tennis center, which is the old Uptown Square on Broadway, they're going to start breaking ground on that. It's supposed to be ready next summer.
Right.
So they're moving along with the tennis center. They're in a holding pattern with this bubble. It is embarrassing for Tulane, for their ops guys, for the football team, during the summer to try to scurry at the last minute to figure out if they either can go to the practice facility on Airline Drive for the Saints, go down to the Dome. It is an absolute mess for these guys. They got to get in there an hour earlier to get prepared for this. This was John Summerall has got to be just that he's building something great at Tulane that started with Willie, but now he's building, I think, to another level. This is one setback that he has no control over, and the AD needs to fix the situation very soon by next summer. Okay, now that it's getting winter time, you won't have to deal with this issue as much. Tampa Bay is coming this week, practice Tulane. They picked a perfect week. The weather's going to be perfect this week. But in the future, this needs to be rectified. This is a problem. And you know the bigger problem here, Eric, is that academics will always be over athletics at Tulane. And it shouldn't be that way, especially with the Tulane football team.
Well, you have to look, if you don't have the commitment to athletics, again, when conference expansion or realignment happens, you're again. Okay? I mean, you are. Even in the American, teams that have come into the American are putting money into facilities. Okay? So, I mean, when you're looking at, again, what makes your university attractive? New Orleans, obviously TV in terms of, again, the market, etc. But at the same time, you've got to be able to have facilities in order to compete.
And one other thing that Tulane is starting to get passed up on is NIL.
Right.
They have a strong NIL crew with Michael Arata and Jimmy Orno and those guys. They need to kick that to another level, and facilities helps. NIL helps. I mean, it got some really big-time players in there. I mean, no one expected Darian Mensah to beat out Ty Thompson, but they're still getting to use Ty. They bring him in inside the 10. Yeah. Next year, I think that Ty Thompson will probably not be there. Agreed. I think they're going to take that NIL money that Ty Thompson had. It's going to go to Darian Mensah. Like you got a bona fide superstar going forward. Darian Mensah's that guy. He's going to get. Tulane's got to focus more of their NIL money on Mensah next year. But Ty Thompson's been a big deal for Tulane this year.
Yes. And look, on that note, again, Michael Pratt stayed again, and of course. You didn't have the unlimited transfers when he first started at Tulane. You didn't have the NIL. That kind of evolved during his time at Tulane. There was a possibility of, again, his last year at Tulane, maybe him going to Florida.
Oh, yeah.
Okay, Tulane anteed up. They kept him there. Mensah is going to be on everybody's list that doesn't have a quarterback, and they're going to be coming after him hard. So you better make sure you got, again, the NIL, that he's happy here at Tulane. And then, of course, that's where those facilities come in as well. I mean, you bring him out to a university where they got these palace facilities. He comes back to Tulane, doesn't have those facilities. Maybe he starts thinking about possibly moving on.
Yeah, Darian Mensah is going to be one of the hot names in the portal. Not on his own own thought process. I mean, Mensah. The smart move for Mensah is to stay at Tulane. I think that John Summerall and them have put him in a great situation. They are going to be in the CFB playoff. I'm telling you, it's going to happen in the next year or so. Especially you've got John Summerall there, you got Darian Mensah there. It's going to happen. Okay, Mekhi Hughes is only in his second year of eligibility. He will be there next year. Summerall is going to pull some more guys in through the transfer portal. This is going to be a rocket ship going up in the coming years.
I agree. So let's talk now about this season, this team, and the domination. 3-2, 1-0 in I'm sorry, 3-2, and of course leading the American right now. Your thoughts on Tulane?
I was high on this team from the start.
Right.
I had them going 9-3 to start the year because I saw the vision that John Summerall had. I think it's a good team. Now I think they can go 10-2. Mm-hmm. I think they can win out in the American. I understand that Army and Navy are undefeated and they're been a surprise. Navy beat Memphis earlier in the season, but I think this team has all the makings to win out in the American. You mentioned the Rice game being on 106.1. I will be there at that game next Saturday. I think more fans should definitely go check out a game at Yeoman Stadium.
I agree.
It's going to be, I'm hoping it's a beautiful day. The weather's starting to cool off there. It's a 2:30 kick. The Saints play next Thursday night, so there's not a lot going on sports-wise next weekend. LSU is at Arkansas.
Right.
So I would say come check it out. I will be there for that one. Yes, I know it's Rice, but you get to see Tulane smoke a team, and you get to see Darian Mensah in person. There's not a lot of opportunities, okay? There's not a lot of home games, okay? It's not a big season in college football. So when you can, go check out this team, support this team. It is your New Orleans team there in college football.
Let's talk about Mensah because he seems to be getting better every single week.
And he's got confidence.
Right.
The first time he came during training camp, came in shirtless to the presser, just had this air of just, had this aura around him that he was the guy, and he has a lot of confidence. He's comfortable talking to the media every week now. He's comfortable in the huddle. Yes, he made a rookie mistake not holding the ball against Kansas State, and it was one of the reasons they lost that game. I think they also, at the end of the game, got jobbed by the refs on that pick play call. I didn't see that one. But yes, he's improving every week. I mean, 71 points against UAB. Yes, I understand Trent Dilfer and the Blazers have some problems, but this is going to keep rolling. I mean, against Rice next week, I mean, they can get up into the 40s, 50s. We'll see. I like Darian Mensah. I like this team. I like his wide receivers he has. This is going to keep going up and up.
When you look at the offensive line, to me that's been impressive to be able to, again, Remitich came back. Did they have one other player that came back? I think it was one other player on that offensive line. The rest of the offensive line, guys they brought in through the transfer portal, and the cohesion so quickly, again, in this season has been one of the reasons why they've had that success. You've seen Mensah, he's had time to throw the ball. He's got just a knack to be able to make time with his feet. But then again, you look at the running back position.
The running backs are great.
They've done well. You mentioned Mackay, and of course you've got Arnold Barnes, Clayton Johnson. They've looked good. The offense is rolling. And the defense, they're flying around again.
They did very well in the transfer portal on defense. This is a well-rounded team. I've been very impressed with on both sides of the ball. I mean, they were in every game. Okay, they could have won at Oklahoma. They could have won against Kansas State. I still think they have an outside shot to get in that CFP playoff. What needs to happen is Boise State needs to lose again. I think Boise State is now the group of five sweetheart right now. Genty is like up in the Heisman Trophy talk. So Boise State needs to lose again because right now Boise State's in front of Tulane right now in the rankings as the group of five team. If Boise State, Boise State's only lost to Oregon, and Oregon's undefeated. Yeah. So that's the team right now. But Tulane, if they go undefeated, they will be in that mix at the end.
All right, let's talk. I want to talk a little bit about their schedule coming up because again, you mentioned Rice. It's winter. They're at North Texas, at Charlotte, Temple, at Navy, Memphis. First of all, Army, Navy. You buying them?
I'm buying Navy more than Army.
Okay.
I think Navy's already proved that they're a good team. They went on the road and beat Memphis. Their offense is one of the top offenses in America. Army, not as much. I think Army's going to tail off a little. Navy has posted some impressive victories. So, yes, that's going to be a tough game for Tulane on the road at Navy, but I think they can definitely get a win against Memphis at home.
So, because that's back-to-back. You got at Navy and then Memphis at home. Those are your two biggest games, and those are the games that might, again, decide who's going to go into the American Athletic Conference Championship game.
And Memphis is on Thanksgiving night. I was doing schedules at Fox 8 recently, and it hit me again that, oh my goodness, Memphis is on Thanksgiving night at home.
Right.
On Tulane at home. It's on national television. So, yes, that's another game. You know, Tulane hasn't played, I think, on Thanksgiving night since the '98 team went undefeated. They beat Louisiana Tech in the Dome.
Right.
That game was like 63-35.
Yeah.
I remember Tay went nuts in that game. But, yes, that's going to be a tough stretch going on the back end, but I have the ultimate faith that they can pull it off.
Yeah, I mean, again, when I look at the schedule now, I say to myself, Navy, Memphis, probably just the two best teams left on the schedule for that, right?
Yes, you are definitely correct. Navy and Memphis are the best two teams left on that schedule. Like you said, I think Army's going to kind of tail off. I know they wouldn't see Army until the conference championship. All this talk, Army, Navy, going to the American Conference Championship and having to play back-to-back weeks,
Yeah, I don't buy it either. I really don't. I don't buy it either. Again, to me, until proven different, Memphis and Tulane are the class of the AAC right now. Okay, I want to talk some Pelicans here. First of all, Garland's going to tell you once again, Pelicans have a new TV home. So again, you'll be able to catch all the Pelican games, or most of the Pelican games, over the airwaves, again, with, a digital antenna. Tell us about it.
Yeah, Gulf Coast Sports and Entertainment Network. 75 games are going to be on Channel 7 if you have an antenna in the New Orleans area. Only like 10 of these games are going to be on Fox 8, okay? The opener will be on Fox 8 against the Bulls in less than 2 weeks on October 23rd, but you need an antenna. We did do a contract with Fubo. People asking about YouTube TV, Cox. That could come in the future. I don't know. But the smart move right now is to get an antenna. It's $15 at the store. It's not a lot of money, and it's for free. The Bally Sports app was absolute garbage, okay? I had that app. It crashed all the time. I absolutely hated it. So this is a much better deal, $15 with an antenna. Really excited about the season, having Joel Myers and Antonio Daniels on Fox 8. You know, now they have a new sideline reporter, and Andrew Lopez, who's a local, went to Holy Cross. I know Gus Cattengill is with them on the radio side. So there's a lot of different moving parts with the Pelicans. I'm really excited about the season. I went to the game on Monday. Zion looked fantastic, nice and slim. I like the confidence. I like the crowd. I'm ready for the season to start in 13, 14 days.
Yeah, it's going to be exciting. Well, let's start with Zion first. Slimmed down, as you mentioned. Okay. Again, said that he worked on his game in the offseason. I guess we'll see that over time. He had 8 rebounds the other night. Okay, 8 rebounds in the matinee on Monday against Orlando. He's got to be a double-double guy this year. I mean, again, with the lack of a true center on this team, he is going to be counted on to rebound the basketball, and he's only been a guy that's really rebounded his own shot for the most part. He's going to be asked to defend more in the paint now, not just be that off-the-ball defender, in which, again, he's excelled, but again, man-up defender as well. Do you think that it's never really been in his DNA? It's not in this team's DNA to really rebound as a team. To me, rebounding is the key for this team going forward. Do you think, again, that he can be a double-double guy this season?
Oh, there's no doubt. I mean, he's just a big guy, first of all. And, yeah, double-double guy. It could come maybe an assist. I mean, he was a point guard back in the day. People forget that, in high school and everything, he was kind of running the point. He's point Zion in his time here in New Orleans. He was 8 of 11 the other day and had 16 points there, only 3 missed shots. And he was going up against Jonathan Isaac, who I think is one of the better defenders in the NBA with the Magic. I don't know if he's going to play center in this new defense when they're getting crunch time. I'm intrigued to see what that's going to look like. I think Trey Murphy being injured, not going to be out there probably the first few regular season games, will kind of change things around. Nothing to worry about. Brandon Ingram missed that first preseason game. I think he'll be fine going forward. I'm intrigued to see where this roster goes in the final 5 minutes of the Bulls game. Like who is going to be that guy? I think now that Trey won't be there in that opening night game, then that's going to be a movement of maybe Herb Jones slides in there. I don't know. Hawkins had 18 points in that game?
He looked good. He looked good, and some mid-range shots as well.
He's still got to work on defense. I understand that, but got to the line with 6 of 7 from the free throw line, so that is encouraging. But this team goes as Zion Williamson does. Last year played a career high 70 games. That's the key to everything. But I will also say, DeJounte Murray, I got opportunity to interview him one-on-one in the media day.
Yes.
Absolute electricity. He's going to be one of those guys that's going to be in there at the end of the game. He's a closer. He's going to be taking a lot of those shots in the final minute of the game. I think they're going to rely a lot on DeJounte also to not only take the shot, but to distribute the ball to Zion.
Yeah. Well, look, that was what they were missing. Okay, they needed a true point guard. You saw it. It's one of the reasons why, again, they're one of the worst teams in the NBA at crunch time. You know, again, not being able to hold on to leads, etc. He will solve that problem. There's no doubt about it. But again, then now you've subtracted again the your big or your ability to be able to rebound and also defend the rim. That to me is going to be the most intriguing part of this season on how they do that. Look, you mentioned Trey Murphy. Look, he's a guy that again you would think would get more rebounds with his size, etc. The question to me is again, how does Willie Green get the buy-in from his team to be a rebounding team, to rebound as a team? Okay. So that means everybody's going to the boards, offensive, defensive boards. How do you do that when that's never been part of what these players have done?
Well, we'll say this. Maybe Misi gets like 5 to 10 minutes a game. We'll see. I was impressed with him. I know he's got a lot to learn.
He does.
Daniel Tice, he's going to get in there, get like 10, 15 minutes a game.
Jemison is a physical guy. He played with Memphis last year. You've got Makovich again.
Yeah, Makovich got in the very end of the game. So I think they're trying to work more with Misi in there.
I just think he's a guy that's going to be in Birmingham most of the year.
Who's that, Misi?
No, yeah, Misi. I just do. I just really do. I just think again that I saw him in the summer league. Again, just doesn't have a shot. He again, from a basketball IQ standpoint, he's still learning the game. Okay, and so you're going to put him out there again against the Joker? I mean, come on.
No, I wouldn't say that. That you're right. That will be intriguing to see if he's going to get there at the beginning of the season, or they're going to bring him to the Birmingham Squadron, which is a G League team of the Pelicans. The 5 at the end, I mean, is it going to be DeJounte? Is it going to be CJ? Is it going to be Herb? Is it going to be Brandon? Is it going to be Zion? I mean, that might be the move. I'm talking about game 1. Going into the future, you're going to have Trey Murphy out there in crunch time. Is he going to get a new contract done? Is also something to monitor.
I think they have to, and I think they're going to get that done probably before the season starts. The question is, again, what will he be getting? Some think he may get as much as $30 million a year. Okay, again, and I know you're talking about again with the Pelicans with the cap situation. C.J. McCollum coming off the bench, or is he a starter for this team?
Well, now that Trey's hurt, he will start at the beginning of the season. I think what you saw, you saw in the first preseason game is what it's going to look like in the first game. The difference is obviously that Brandon wasn't in that game the first time around. Yeah. But I think. Game 1 against the Bulls, you'll see DeJounte, CJ, you'll see Brandon, Zion, and Daniel Tice. I think that's going to be like the starting 5.
And the closing 5?
Well, you're going to take Tice out.
Right.
And then I would think going December, once Murphy's back, I think you're probably going to have CJ in that closing 5 also. I think CJ, they're what? They're going to put the cap at 40, or not the cap. They want to shoot 40 threes a game.
40 threes a game, yeah.
CJ is going to have to take a lot more threes. They're going to need Ingram out there. They're going to need Trey to get to that number. So I think that's going to be their 3 and D. Their guys right there is who I just rattled off.
Yeah. Again, to me, how's Herb Jones not on the floor? He's the guy that does the dirty work. He's your defender. He does the little things that allow teams to win. And he's one of the few guys they have on that roster that can do that. You know, you lost Najee Marshall, you've lost Dyson Daniels. Those are 2 guys that again were doing those kind of things, the dirty work for this team. And now again, Herb Jones seems like the guy. Jose Alvarado off the bench. He's to me in any closing 5, he's got to be there.
Who's that, Jose or Herb?
No, Herb.
Yeah, Herb might be in that mix also. The only thing with Herb is that he's not as lethal a threat at the 3-point line.
Right.
But yeah,
you got to stop somebody.
Yeah, I do like seeing Jose in there with the backup crew. Hawkins in the mix also. They got some options on the back end on the second unit there. I think going over time, Trey can maybe get into that starting lineup, and you put CJ on the bench. We'll see. That's going to be something to watch. But I think it kind of messes up things a little that Trey will be out at the beginning of the year.
Got 20 seconds. B.I. make the entire season with this team, or is he traded at the trading deadline?
I think he makes the entire season. I know I'm going against everything. Because you know what? No one else wants to pay him.
Right.
And I don't think somebody's going to want Brandon Ingram as a rental guy for three months of the season.
Right.
There's no market for him right now on the outside. I think the Pelicans let him walk at the end of the year. I think he plays the whole year.
Garland, thanks so much.
Yes,
Covered
sir.
a lot today. Appreciate your time.
You got it.
There he goes. Thanks so much for tuning in. Remember, plenty of ways to catch our program now. There's a QR code on your screen that will take you again to the WLAE-TV YouTube channel and also to my website, ericasher.com. Also, you can check us out on WLAE-TV 2, also known as Encore, Pelican Sports Television, and of course, WLAE-TV. Also, you can catch me on the radio, 106.1 The Ticket. You can listen live at ericasher.com, iHeartRadio app, TuneIn Radio app. Also, again, The Ticket has our own app now. So, again, 106.1 The Ticket app. Download that at your app store. Anchor Spotify is where you can find our podcast, but we're on all podcasting platforms. And, of course, as always, I want to thank the underwriters who make this show possible. Each and every one of those underwriters, again, the reason why this program is on the air, please support our underwriters. And, of course, thanks to our friends here at WLAE-TV who do a great job producing our program each and every week. Ron Yeager, Jim Dotson, Alex Chacon, Thomas Healy, and our director, William Hill. For Garland, Gillen, I'm Eric Asher. Thanks so much for tuning in. We'll see you next week for another edition of Inside New Orleans Sports.
We are one community
with one mission
and one heartbeat. We are resilient,
fearless,
joyful,
and visionary.
We support one another through challenges,
push each other towards excellence,
and are always filled with Christ's love.
We take pride in our traditions
and stay true to our roots. We are committed to caring for every aspect of our community.
We are competitive, yet humble, and give all of our success to the glory of God.
We are invested in one another and view each other through the eyes of Christ.
We leave PJP transformed,
proud,